many times it happens that women in positions of power or authority have to sometimes model themselves on male patterns of authority in order to be heard, in order to be taken seriously, which is very unfortunate and really is a reflection on us and how we receive it. If somebody is not being bossy or not being dominating, then are you still listening? Number one. And then why is it not called bossy or domineering when it's a man?
If there's a woman who has a lot of control over family, you see certain dynamics unfold there, like how a guy would perceive that dominance, and it does exist. I think it is uncomfortable to see when there's a woman in power.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Quint. Konkana, your character, there's something that I absolutely love what it questions. I know I can't get into the dialogues of it all, but there's a part that made me feel that somewhere your character is who's probably gone through the patriarchy, really felt it herself, but somewhere also questions that, have I become this person who's overcorrecting it using dominance? Do you feel your character was somewhere?
You know, unfortunately, what happens is in our societies, and actually because patriarchy has existed across societies, across cultures, across countries, where, it's really upon us as a society how we receive authority, for example, because many times it happens that women in positions of power or authority have to sometimes model themselves on male patterns of authority in order to be heard, in order to be taken seriously, which is very unfortunate and really is a reflection on us and how we receive it. If somebody is not being bossy or not being dominating, then are you still listening? Number one. And then why is it not called bossy or domineering when it's a man? So because women are held accountable to different standards, by and large, especially women in positions of power, women who are more conspicuous in their career, in their success. And that is a more difficult kind of a journey to navigate for women in that sense, and also managing the home front, managing the work front. We were also not interested in showing a perfect human being or a perfect person. She is very flawed. Geetika is flawed in her own way. Meera is flawed in her own way. The relationship is not perfect either. There are things which are probably, can be better or can be, healthier in that sense. And that is something that that Meera and Geetika are forced to reckon with.
Something that you mentioned a little earlier about, women in power positions. Do you feel like, this for all three of you, do you really feel like even today, as when women are in power positions, the world or the society is still not very comfortable in watching them lead?
In some cases.
I think yes. It's partly true. I have no personal experience of that.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not in that stronger power position. But yes, it does happen, and I'm sure it does happen, and we know of some cases where it is. So, yeah.
Would you like to add anything?
I think so. It does exist. As small as I can think, it exists in a family. If there's a woman who has a lot of control over family, you see certain dynamics unfold there, like how a guy would perceive that dominance, and it does exist. I think it is uncomfortable to see when there's a woman in power. It doesn't come very naturally to us. I mean, we are, of course, getting to accept something like that. We are accepting things, but right now it's little.
And also, in Geetika and Meera's relationship, there are some elements which we come across in, say, in heterosexual couples, which are much more normalized. Like, where, like, for example, they're planning to adopt a baby, and, the Meera is relocating, for the sake of Geetika's career and her job. And these things, when we see, between a man-woman relationship, sometimes it's so normalized that we don't question it even. But now, because we see it happening with two women, it becomes all the more stark. And actually, that is, I think, really good, because we're not normalizing it, we're holding up that behavior to really examine that behavior. Because it's the behavior which is not okay. Maybe it's happening more with men and women and less with women. I don't exactly know the studies on that in that sense, but I do know that it is very normalized in heterosexual couples, and it's hardly even questioned anymore. And because we see it happening with two women, it's more obvious and more stark. And that helps us to examine that behavior, I think.
I also like the line in the film that anybody with a phone is empowered today. And that is something that we see everywhere, where allegations quickly, just go outside and social media trial begins before one even has proof, right?
Yeah.
But do you believe somewhere social media also holds people accountable, or do you think it just complicates the process?
I think it's a combination.
Yeah.
It does hold people accountable, but it complicates the process for sure. And I think it complicates it more than, and it creates more biases than correcting opinions of people.
Right.
In today's context, I'm saying this because now it's just somehow we've got trained to instantly jump to conclusions, jump to judgments the moment we hear some kind of an accusation come. And it could be correct, it could be wrong, but we just don't have patience anymore to even, because there's so much information available, we don't have the patience to wait for the facts to emerge.
There's this need for instant justice.
Yeah.
It's become very urgent.
It is. Yeah.
Would you like to add
Yeah,
anything?
no, I completely agree. It depends on how we're using that information.
Yeah.
Actually, it's relevant across, in all forms of social media, one has to always question the source.
Yeah.
Because anybody can put anything out now, but that can't be relevant to a procedure or an official investigation.
Yeah.
But sometimes it is. And what also happens, the danger in that is that it sways public opinion.
Yes.
And what happens is that, then the public opinion becomes such that, oh, okay, if you like a person or if you find that person relatable, then you want to, think that they're innocent.
Yeah.
Now, that should have no bearing on, the facts of whether they're innocent or guilty or what the facts are, what the proof is. A formal inquiry is happening and that gets in the way. It should not hamper justice.
Yeah.
So one has to really question the source and not take, everything is not equally serious, and even within the Me Too movement, there are cases of assault and then there are cases of inappropriateness, so one has to have that kind of critical thinking, to question, okay, what has exactly happened, who has it affected, who is to gain, who is in a position of authority, who is in a position of power, have they abused their position of power? All these things take time, so we can't, that's why, jump to conclusions.
The man who comes to investigate says that mostly a woman is a victim, right? But in this film, the accused and the accuser are women. Were all of you somewhere trying to challenge the automatic binaries that we operate within, the victim and predator, especially in a Me Too world?
Yeah, definitely. That was exactly what we were trying to explore. Of course, you want to tell the stories that have not been told,
Yes.
which we don't even imagine happen. So that's how we, that was the whole point of the film.
And how did this really, this idea spark for you that, okay, this is a story I want to tell? Because it's very rare, or actually I would like to say we've never really seen in Indian cinema where a queer lesbian couple is openly married, normalized like any other relationship. There's no stereotyping. Where did that really spark for you from?
We wanted to tell the story of a woman who's at the center of it, who's accused of sexual misconduct. That was really the starting point. And we wanted to tell the story just focused on that. She is a queer person, it happens to be, it happens to organically fit into the film.
Okay.
It was central to the story, but we didn't want to focus on that aspect. We didn't want to make any commentary on the relationship. And the reason was this, I feel in India, because there's so much stigma around queer relationships, the more you comment on it and the more, I thought the easiest way for people to be more accepting towards it, just to normalize it. Everybody who watched the film, including some people from the queer community, they came out liking and appreciating that fact that yes, okay, probably this is a very good way to approach, movies. Because it just looks like any heterosexual couple in the middle of.
For me, it was really refreshing. Like you said, it was not the only talking point of the film. There's so much more that you all spoke about.
Yeah.
Coming to the two of you, I think your on-screen relation has such a real-life, lived-in quality dynamic. How did you really arrive at that chemistry? What was the process like? What were the conversations like?
It was actually very interesting. Me and Coco, we would just go for evening walks and talk to each other, get to know about me. She would get to know about me, I would get to know about her. We would discuss so many things. We would just, if we are crossing a street, we would stop by and think that, oh, we can buy something from here.
Yeah.
It was very organic, very fun. We didn't try to overcomplicate the entire thing, intellectualize the entire thing. We would sit for workshop. I think that really helped because we did all the family house scenes at the start of the schedule. So I'm so glad that we really prepped for all those scenes because that really helped.
You know, I think that we were both so open and, open and willing to take this on and wanting to give our best. That, of course, the intent always really helped. Anubhuti sat with us and, we went through all the scenes together. We knew exactly from where to where we had to go. And then it was a matter of just discovering each other, and which we got a chance to do even more because we were on location. And not in Mumbai. We were all coming back to our own homes and we were spending only some time together. So often we were eating together or hanging together, sometimes playing games on set as well. Some games and things like that, even with the other actors.
Exactly.
So that was, all of that I think really helped. And of course, going for walks together, discussing what we're going to eat or, where we're going to shop. And, over there, for example, we would get this winter tea, which we used to love and, organizing those. So just living life together, being open to discovering each other and wanting to portray this in the most normal, organic way possible. I think that helped and that's how it just came about. And, not to put that additional burden of, oh, I'm playing, a homosexual person or, oh, I'm a lesbian, therefore I have to do everything differently. Love is love. Relationships are relationships. Human beings are complicated. So, just figuring that out together as human beings.
Yeah, and I think that comes across beautifully. It really looks like a friendship to me, which has all the layers in place. And Anubhuti, there's something I'm very interested to know is, London as a setting for the story. Was the city really integral to the story, or do you think it could have probably happened anywhere?
It could have happened anywhere. I just didn't want for it to happen in India so much because then I would have had to make a commentary about the queer relationship and of course they couldn't have been married. They couldn't have been married. Why particularly UK over a US and Australia? There's no serious reason about it, but we did research a lot about such cases all across the world and we found there are more reported in UK and the US than other continents.
Konkana, just looking at your journey and all the experience that you have and all the learnings that you've probably, had through your journey, if there was something you wish someone had told you at the beginning of your career, what would it be? And would you like to share that with Pratibha today?
Oh my gosh. No, I think everybody has their own journey and Pratibha has immense talent and a very good head on her shoulders, touch wood, and a supportive family. So those are wonderful things. And everybody has their own journey. There's no one thing which, can apply to everybody. And, that is part of the process to make mistakes, to learn, to discover, see what works for you. And so much of that, your journey is your personality. What works for you, what feels right to you, and until you make certain mistakes or have certain experiences, you can't go forward either. So I don't think there's one piece of advice that I can offer anybody. And Pratibha certainly, I'm sure, doesn't need.
No, I remember asking this question to her when we started talking initially. And that time also Coco said the same thing that, you have good privilege that, you are able to do what you are doing. That's itself a big thing.
Pratibha, I have one question for you, which is secretly also trying to push Konkana to where I want her to go. Are you secretly manifesting that someday Konkana directs you?
Oh, I would love
that.
I would love that.
I would love that too.
So Konkana, when are we seeing that? Just get
Now
back
that
to direction.
it takes so much time for these things to happen and let's see. Hopefully we can manifest that.
Everyone wants a Konkana film. I want to tell you that people are talking about that. Thank you so much. Good luck for the film. Thank you.
Thank you.